librarians because we all know that we live in Josephine County, that's in one of the poorest counties in the state of Oregon. And so what we've set up at our bank is that you can set up a system where they will deduct $5 a month out of your checking account. Now, I believe that most everybody would never miss that $5 a month out of their checking account. But what it would do for the library is it would keep us open. If everybody said, I'll do $5 a month, it would keep us open. So I'm just making you aware that that is an opportunity and an option for you if that makes it easier for you to personally help us keep the library open. Okay, enough about money. I'm going to talk about something fun. I want us to think about, if you're going to the library here now, you probably went to the library when you were a kid. How many went to the library when they were a kid? I'd like us to share some stories. For those of you that feel comfortable to talk about, when you were a kid, what do you remember about the library? What were some of your favorite authors? What was wonderful? So we'll start with the lady in red. She's raised her hand. What's your name?
I'm Kathy Lombardo. When I was a kid, I was in Batavia, Illinois, and our library was in an old two-story house where the attic was storage for a museum to come dream, and downstairs it was old-fashioned furniture but all of the books. You could take a book, or you could take those old stereographs and sit down with a box of cards and look at old pictures. It was 2 miles walk, but we would walk from our farm after the chores were done and spend a couple hours at the library and then walk 2 miles home.
Wonderful. Anybody else with a story to share? How about you, Nancy? No, not Nancy.
How I got kicked out of the library.
Right!
That sounds like a good one.
How'd you get kicked out of the library?
When I was in grade school, I had a project that I was reading the library from the top, left to right, top to bottom of the books and the shelving, and so the school decided that it was stunting my social growth, and they wouldn't allow me in the library during recess, and so I just took my books and went out on the play yard and sat on a bench and read.
So
that's my library story.
Where was this?
This was in Novato, California.
Ah, Nancy got kicked out of the library. Anybody else? Yes?
I admit to something, having the library closed cost me a lot of money. I stuck it in, like a book club kept on telling me brochures, buy this, buy that, and I did, and the library can have them. Find somebody with a strong back, I'll pack them in a box. They're good books, they're not just cheap romances or anything like that. A lot of them are historical, a lot of them are garden, all kinds of books. I couldn't live without books.
That's right.
Didn't have a library, I wouldn't bought them.
That's right.
And you brought them to us when you were done.
Well, see, if you're a true bookworm, you can't live without books. And that's another thing. So many people have, with our library closed, had to resort to spending quite a bit of money to keep themselves supplied with the books. So, anybody else with a story? Yes?
Hi, I'm Diane Sherrick. My dad was a cop in New York, and we always were at the library. But when he retired, we moved to Albuquerque, and he became the janitor of one of the Albuquerque library branches.
Woo!
So, and he got a second retirement from there. But we used to walk down there and visit him all the time. It was just a fun place to be. Especially St. Patrick's Day, they used to put the little leprechaun feet all over the place. He got in trouble. I read his reviews. He wasn't the greatest janitor, but they sure treated him.
Anybody else with a story? Yes?
I grew up in a little town in Nevada, Nevada, and we had no library until I was in the 5th grade. I don't even think we had one at the school because my greatest Christmas gift was a friend who gave us a book every year. And that was so wonderful. And we had one room, smaller than this, was our library when it opened. And I was going to read every book in that library. And I tried.
Did you get kicked out?
No, I was good friends at the library.
And those people have heard of Andrew Carnegie.
Yes.
Yes?
In a little country town way down in Western Australia, we had an Andrew Carnegie library. So proud of that library, got used quite a bit.
Good. How about the gentleman in green back there? He's a younger guy. Can you tell us why you like a library?
Well, it's always a good place to hang out when you have nothing to do, and there's like books everywhere, and I like reading different series and stuff.
What's your favorite series?
Right now I'm on a series called Ranger's Apprentice.
Dave, what do you remember about libraries when you were a kid? This is Dave Mannix. He's also on our board.
He's hiding.
I remember nothing. Every bit of it. We had a little town in Maryland where I spent a good bit of my childhood. We had this sort of classic, what you think of as the classic small town library, white clapboard, cramped little building with the classic librarian from Central Casting that you picture, you know, with the knitting needle through the bun on the back of her head, and looking at you like you're probably up to something that you weren't supposed to be up to, you know, that kind of experience. So,
And in your case?
yeah, generally I was.
Anybody? Yes, sir.
Well, I got one story. It's my own early library experience was fantastic. We had a fairly large library in a suburban town in the Los Angeles area. But this involves, this was a young fellow, turn of the century, had to take care of his mother and also put food on the table for the family. And he had a voracious reading ability, and he used libraries extensively and would go on to become a noted author known as Jack London. And yeah, his early years, you know, and his relationships with libraries was just amazing. I take inspiration.
Good. Good. Anybody else with a story? I'm trying to stretch time. We're waiting for Dave Toller at 2 o'clock. So this is like when you're on television?
Well, I can share something.
Okay.
I certainly have my childhood memory of our Brown Branch Library in Indianapolis. But I think what's inspiring to me now is that my children are here today. And so we're making memories. And each day that I work for this library, I'm grateful that it's open, because my son this summer, I think for the first time in his life, was identified himself as a reader because of the summer reading program. And I'm really not just saying that. He read every week and moved his piece across the bodies of water of the world and dedicated his time at home to reading chapter books. And by the end of in the beginning of the summer, he would struggle with some of the words, and we would help him along and kind of buddy read. And by the end of the summer, he's plowing through those books. And he probably increased his reading ability by at least 2 levels just through the summer reading program.
Wow.
And he'll have that memory of our library.
Well, yes.
Barbara, I have something to say. It's closer in reminiscence than childhood. What was it when we were just forming and we came up here to Cave Junction for our first informational meeting?
Right.
Over at the hall? It was a cold winter night. Anybody in the room there at that meeting remember this? Yeah. Nasty weather, and who would come out on a night like that, you know, to attend a meeting like this on something as improbable as the community actually taking over what we all thought was a government function. The barbarians were not only at the gates at that point, they were already in the town. And we all managed together to throw them out. But I think we all need to remember that they're still kind of out there waiting to come back in. Some of them are the apathetic, some of them are politicians feeding on apathy. So keep that in mind. We can sort of pat ourselves all on the back for what we've done, but we can't slack because we are always at the edge. We have to keep working at this. That's all I have to say.
Yeah, we are at the edge. We do not like to give out negative publicity because on the one hand, we have a thriving organization that we are all very proud of. On the other hand, the community is not aware and does not understand that unless we get enough money from businesses and individuals, we just can't stay open. And so that's this kind of scramble that we're always doing and the struggle that we're always doing. And we're going to be starting another membership campaign. And so, you know, I know I'm preaching to the choir here.
Yeah.
You know, you're all here, you're all members, you all got cards, you all love the library. But it's important that each one of you consider yourselves an ambassador to keeping the library open. And that means talking about it, about the programs that go on here. One of the programs I don't know if you're aware of, and I don't know how many of you are just computer gurus, but the Grants Past Friends of the Library, we sell a lot of books in our bookstore because we are a bigger community than you are. And so they had an opportunity to fund a program called Libraries to Go. And as we all know, we are now in the electronic computer age. Some of us are more competent with that than others. But the young people, you know, if you want to know how to do something on the computer, you go to your next door neighbor and ask, can your 10-year-old boy come over and help? But we have this program called Libraries to Go, where one of the features of it is if you have a downloadable device like an MP3, I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm the one that needs the 10-year-old boy. An MP3 or a reader, listener, some kind of device.
You can even put it into your phone.
Into
You
your
plug
phone.
it into my phone and have an audiobook play in my car.
Okay, so, so you go in with your library card, and all of you know that you can get on the computer with your library card and reserve a book. If you don't know how to do that and want to know how to do that, talk to the desk. They'll teach you how. It's easy. I can do that. So you can go into the Libraries to Go program, and there is a section in there where they've got books on CD that you can download to your device free and then listen to it, either in the living room or maybe on your computer or download